Hello, welcome to Strictly Sports.
My name is Boyce.
I'm Spencer, and as you probably know by now, we're your weekly destination for some true sports content. No politics, just sports.
So let's get into it.
We're going to get into it right away. First thing we're going to talk about is Kirk Cousins. He's probably the most wanted free agent quarterback that has a realistic chance of leaving where he's at right now. I mean, obviously Drew Brees is supposed to be a free agent, but
no.
He's not leaving.
He's staying in New Orleans.
And then with the Redskins signing or trading for Alex Smith and then signing him to an extension, it's pretty obvious that Kirk Cousins isn't going to stay in Washington, D.C. much longer.
Yeah. So he's got a few different places. I mean, more than a few probably. He's calling a lot of
there's a lot of teams that feel like they're a good quarterback away from winning a championship.
Yeah, I mean, he's a
wanted man right now.
Yeah, exactly. The most important and most wanted position of football, I think, the most rare position to find talent is the quarterback.
You can't win a championship without a good quarterback.
Exactly. I mean, you need a franchise talent there to do those things, and there are a lot of quarterback needy teams out there right now. And yeah, we have a big draft coming up, but still a lot of those teams. I mean,
you're not gonna. It's tough to win a championship unless you draft an absolute stud. It's rookie quarterbacks. Even the great rookie quarterback or the great quarterbacks don't have great rookie seasons. Like Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie year, and then he ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So
yeah, exactly. So it's tough.
There's a big learning curve from college to the NFL. So
big learning curve.
So to just go off our list of where we think he could land. I mean, a lot of this depends on because obviously Jacksonville and Minnesota are two teams that were in their conference championships this year. So they're obviously good teams, and they don't have 100% quarterback options right now. I think Minnesota definitely they have pretty much three quarterbacks that they could go to. So I don't think he'll go there. I think they'll stick with either Teddy Bridgewater or Case Keenum.
Yeah, I mean it'd be cool for him to go to Minnesota. I mean it's a great place. I mean he has everything he needs there. I mean he just needs the money and to sign, but the fact is, you're right. They have a surplus of quarterbacks right now. They got Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, and Case Keenum.
They're not going to go out and spend money on
a Kirk Cousins. And after the Jimmy Garoppolo contract and what the Jets have been, the rumors about the Jets giving him $60 million guaranteed in his first year. I mean,
he's not going to do anything with the Jets.
They're not going to go. They're not going to go out. I don't think. I mean, as nice as it would be for him, they're not going to go out and grab Kirk Cousins to the.
So I think a more realistic spot for him is honestly Jacksonville, because unless they think they can truly win a Super Bowl with Blake Bortles as their quarterback and they're ready to commit to him, I think they'll make a strong push after Cousins. They'll say, hey, we got the conference championship with Blake Bortles. Imagine what we could do with you.
Exactly.
That's a pretty good pitch. In the AFC, I mean, it's obvious, Tom Brady can't play forever, so if he signs, a 4-year, 5-year deal, chances are, year 3 or year 4 of that contract, Brady might retire. That league, the AFC will be wide open because Roethlisberger's getting old. So
Brady's getting old. I mean, it's a matter of time before these. I mean, unfortunately, the time might be a few years, but still, it's not that much longer until the AFC is not dominated anymore by the same three powerhouses.
Yeah, for pretty much our entire lifetime, it was the AFC only it's Roethlisberger, Manning, or Brady went to the...
Yeah, it's been Manning. Yeah, exactly.
And Joe Flacco got one. Yeah. Joe Flacco got one.
Lucky 1 year with the defense.
He's elite, man. He's elite.
That was the most forgotten about year, I think. I mean, it's a very forgettable season and year. I mean, good for the Ravens and the Baltimore fan base, but still, no.
Yeah, but
it's the AFC. It's not Joe Flacco's.
So the AFC should be wide open in a few years. So
yeah.
So I think Kirk Cousins will definitely look at that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but the other spot is definitely Denver because they've already won a championship recently with
Trevor Siemian and Brock Trashweiler back there. I mean, they're looking for a new quarterback.
Yeah, and John Elway he's very good at. He got Peyton Manning to go play there.
Yeah, so. I mean, he's a convincing guy. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard Peyton Manning's speech, but the pitch Elway gave to Manning at the time, when he was being looking around and whatnot, it was, we'll come here, we'll give you this much money. I mean, we'll have a few playoff runs, we'll go to a couple Super Bowls, and then you'll retire after that. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, they went to 2 Super Bowls. Unfortunately, they only walked away with 1 win. But still, I mean, he set so many single-season records, which Elway also said, you'll grab a few more records for your career, and you'll walk away out of here, one of the greatest of all time. And he was right. I mean, I believe Elway has a problem evaluating quarterbacks, just because they're past struggles other than Peyton Manning. Peyton was a free agent and everybody knew how good he was, so he went out and grabbed him. But other than that, he's great at building a phenomenal roster. I mean, their rosters have always been good.
Yeah, I think they're obviously a good quarterback away from a championship again, because we saw that defense. That defense pretty much carried them. Like, Peyton Manning was pretty average in his last season. His body was obviously deteriorating.
Yeah.
So
it was definitely
and that defense
worse.
pretty much carried. Like, Peyton was able to get the job done decently. He wasn't his old self, but that defense carried them to the championship. So I think you sell him on that. You say, hey, the defense carried Peyton Manning to Super Bowl. It doesn't need to carry you. It can be equal, and then we'll be unstoppable. So.
Yeah, it goes back to the roster thing. Like, Peyton Manning's first year there, single season, best offense we've ever seen. 55 passing touchdowns for Manning, and Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, and Julius Thomas all out there.
And they don't have Julius anymore, obviously.
Yeah, but they still have Demaryius and Emmanuel Sanders.
They still have. They have a talented offense for him. He would have a lot of weapons there. So
yeah, exactly, and they still have. Their offensive line needed improvements. They made some improvements last year. They got that tackle in the draft in the first round last year that brought his baby up on stage.
Yeah.
And then they, their halfback situation. There's talks about them. They have C.J. Anderson, and he's had history of doing talented things there. They have Jamal Charles and Devontae Booker.
Yeah.
And they have Andy Janovich, which is a running back / fullback kind of thing that they do utilize, and he's talented too. So he certainly has
They would have he would have no problem having a good career in Denver. So I think it's really a 2-horse race between Jacksonville and Denver. I think Jacksonville would just sell that they're younger than Denver. If you'd rather live in Florida or Denver, it's up to you. But
yeah,
it's just so it's pretty much that's going to come down to personal preference. I see him going somewhere in the AFC just because everybody knows in 3 or 4 years that conference is probably going to be wide open.
We've already seen Big Ben before this year started was contemplating retirement.
So and we've seen it is possible to beat the Patriots in the playoffs. They're not unbeatable. You can get to the Super Bowl if you have a good enough team.
Yeah.
So I think he goes somewhere in the AFC, and then the only other team I think, if Kirk Cousins just said screw it, I'm just going to take as much money as I can, then maybe he'll go to the Jets. But I think he's smarter than that.
Yeah, so. He's a stable guy. He's just a consistent. He's nothing spectacular. He's no Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz.
What you're going to get with him, though.
But you know exactly what you're going to get, and you like what you're going to get. It's good enough. That's what it's better than good enough. It's good. It's a good quarterback, and he's talented. He knows what he's doing, but the Washington Redskins, that organization's never really gone anywhere, and certainly not while he was there or up and coming to it. So there is a debate. It's really how much money. It's kind of a money versus.
Championship
versus
championship probability.
If they're a contender or not, and we know the Jets aren't a contender. Sure, they signed Kirk Cousins, they get a good quarterback. They're going to look better. Still not a contender. They're still stuck in a division with the Patriots. They're not winning their division. They're going to have to get a wild card. So, it's certainly he could go to the Jets. Money's a powerful tool, and especially when at the NFL level when it's millions upon millions of dollars, and people and you have somebody like the Jets saying we'll pay him whatever it takes, but. For me, it comes down to 3 teams. It comes down to maybe 4. I'd say 4. I'll say the Cardinals because they're quarterbackless.
They're in a tough division, though. Do you really want to have to go play the Rams and the Seahawks twice a year?
They're in a tough division. Yeah, the Rams also became really good. Obviously they've had a few defensive weapons. They've had Aaron Donald.
And the Chargers defense has been pretty good. So that's a tough division to win.
Yeah, both divisions are tough. And AFC South, might sound like an AFC South fanboy, but it's kind of up and coming. Let's say he does join the Jags,
but it's still wide open. It's always been the
Deshaun
conference.
Watson comes back healthy. Yeah. Texans are still going to be, they're going to be really good, just like they were. He's going to join the Jags. Let's say, the Jags are going to be really, really good. The Jags. Bortles. I get why they wouldn't want to trade him because they did it without Bortles, and they could have won that game with a little better coaching. In the AFC Championship, and then from there, it's them in the Super Bowl, and that's a hell of an improvement from what they did last year.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They but the thing with Bortles though is they kind of had a handicap to him.
I think he's like you said, the coaching it kind of hurt them in that game, but honestly, their coaching was probably bad because they knew that Blake Bortles isn't capable. They have to build a game plan
around a quarterback.
He's not a quarterback. Blake Bortles is a decent quarterback, I would say. He proved to be able to win, I guess.
Yeah, he has skill.
But I wouldn't trust him with 2 minutes left on the clock, give him the ball, go win the game.
Yeah, and he did better in the postseason than I thought he would. Yeah. But if you just look at the numbers, the actual throwing aspect of the quarterback, that's not him. That's not Blake Bortles, Yeah. And so they have that amazing defense this year. that did such a good job.
And they're young. They're going to be good next year.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to have this good defense for a little while. And so they had that. They got Leonard Fournette, who's a stud. Mm-hmm. They upgraded their offensive line, who's a stud. And then they obviously have talented wide receivers and Marquise Lee and Mercedes Lewis
and then Allen Robinson
and Allen Robinson, who was out. You know, I mean, so maybe that would have helped. You know, maybe Bortles would have been different if he had Allen Robinson, but I don't really think so. Just because
he had him for a while.
We've had him for a while, and he had one. They had one good year together, and that really wasn't that impressive. So
I think Jacksonville would be the best bet for him, just given that it's in Florida, so you're going to live in warm weather year round. The team, it's a good fit. The team is really talented and really young. Mm-hmm. So when it gets to the time where Brady might retire, Roethlisberger might retire, they're going to be coming into their primes at that time.
Yeah.
So really, I think he'll choose. I think if I were him, I would go to Jacksonville. But also Denver is. I mean, if John Elway's coming after you, that could be pretty compelling.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's obviously the AFC West. Everybody before last year said this is by no question the best division in the league. You got the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos, and all these teams. Mm-hmm. Three of those teams were contenders. The Chargers were also not a bad team at all last year.
No, they've improved a lot.
Yeah, and then everybody underperformed, and the Chargers improved, and they still look good. And they got Keenan Allen back for a whole year, which is big. You know, I mean, he's injury prone, but it's still a talented division. And now they got John Gruden.
It's tough to win in that division.
Yeah, and now they got a whole new head coach, and the Raiders still have a super, super talented roster.
With John Gruden coaching them.
Yes, and Broncos are still talented. They just had some serious quarterback issues, and their defense fell off. So, you know, when their quarterback issue started, it started with Peyton Manning as last year. Mm-hmm. And they could, you know, I mean, that defense was so good, and Peyton Manning was good enough that they could win without him. They could win with, you know,
he's still
bad quarterback play.
Yeah, he was still smart enough to be able to
it's still
to will the offense to move. Yeah. So I think Jacksonville's a really good bet for that. But moving on to some draft talk. The draft's obviously probably the biggest thing now coming up in the
less than a month away now.
Yeah, coming up in the
days, 26 days, something like that.
I mean, I think it's pretty. Unless there's some trades, which we could see, I think the top 5 is for the most part set in like pretty easy to guess.
Yeah, I'd say it's fairly easy.
I think Cleveland will take Darnold. I don't see them taking Rosen.
Mel Kiper put a little thing out saying that they're going to take Josh Allen and or maybe it was Josh Rosen. It was one of the two, and I don't really believe that. I think Sam Darnold's going number 1 overall.
Yeah,
he's
a big guy. He fits with the.
If you hear what what the GMs say like in the NFL about quarterbacks, you look at a guy like Sam Darnold and you see a build like an Andrew Luck or a build like a Carson Wentz, and those are appealing. You know, that's an appealing thing to a GM and a team for a franchise quarterback. So even after his meltdown, you know, against Ohio State, I still think
well, I mean, you can't judge a guy's draftability off one game. I mean, Ohio State had a really talented defensive line that was just on him the whole game.
I mean,
it's tough. That's the thing that no quarterbacks have ever shown that they can really overcome is a pass rush that's constantly beating down on them. That's the only way you can stop Tom Brady. It's something that you can't judge a guy based on him getting sacked.
The best pass coverage is a pass rush.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you can't get the ball out, I mean, you can't get the ball out. Period.
You can't cover NFL. No cornerback can cover an NFL receiver for more than 4 seconds.
Yeah, no 50-50 balls, nothing. So
exactly.
I think he's going number 1 overall.
Yeah.
And then you go number 2. You see the Giants.
I think they'll either take. I mean, it's obviously between the Joshes. It's between Rosen or Allen.
You don't think Saquon Barkley could go number 2?
I think with Eli Manning's career kind of winding down, it's obvious he's obviously has exited his prime for a while now. He probably only has a year or 2 left. So I think they'll say, well, this is their best chance to get a good quarterback because they have the number 2 pick. So unless they really don't, unless they do workouts and they don't like how they looked in the workouts, they don't like how they looked in the combine, then maybe they'll take Saquon Barkley or Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, and that's another thing to consider is, let's say they do get Saquon Barkley and they do really well next year, but they don't, win a Super Bowl or ring or anything. They just get to the postseason. Their draft is way lower.
Yeah.
And so from there, it's going to be hard to,
In the NFL, there's not that many games, so there's only 16 games, so 1 to 2 game difference, that moves you back, it can move you back 4 spots. So
yeah. And that's,
and the quarterback, quality drops off considerably once you get out of the top 5.
Yeah, and, you see, we talked about, how the AFC is about to be wide open with Tom Brady and Big Ben, on the, past the climax of their careers. Not to say that they're not still doing incredible things. They certainly are. But, It's just
they're not going to be able to play forever.
Years wise, yeah, like from their career wise, they've already hit the peak, I guess.
They're in the falling
of
action
time.
portion.
Yeah,
you know?
and they're still performing very well, but I mean they're still getting old. And
Yeah.
like we said, Ben Roethlisberger and Eli came out of the same draft class. So if we're going to talk about Big Ben retiring, it's obvious that we got to talk about Eli talking retirement too. And so that offense will definitely be fun to watch. I mean, Saquon Barkley is a generational talent, like everybody's saying. I mean, he's a phenomenal football player.
Yeah, but I mean, you need with any running like
You need
in the NFL,
line.
running backs are the least like. I think good. Like it's obviously an
expendable.
important position, but there are running backs everywhere.
It's expendable.
It's
That's what
like
it is.
if you have a good offensive line, you can put any capable running back behind it, and you're gonna do pretty well.
Well, everybody talks about Zeke, like for his first year being a rookie. I mean, he put up what was it, 1,800 yards, something like that.
Yeah,
and
put up a
it was
lot.
it was an incredible season. I mean, he won the rushing title as a rookie, but they also had a phenomenal offensive line. They had Doug Free, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick down there, Tyron Smith.
A lot of good players.
Yeah, they had a really talented, run blocking offensive line, and everybody would say like mainly a lot of it was haters, just like Cowboys haters or just just talented haters, and everybody said, oh, it's just the offensive line, and there's some truth to that. I mean, having a good offensive line certainly does not hurt.
Because
by any
DeMarco
means. It
Murray
helps.
hasn't looked that good since he left.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he had that not last year, but the year before. He had a good year with the Titans, but then this year he came back with the Titans, and they still have talented parts of their offensive line, and he wasn't all that. And yeah, he dealt with some injuries, but I mean, but Zeke this year too. I mean,
that's
disregarding the suspension that happened, he
had like one bad game.
Yeah,
against Denver he didn't play very well, but other than that,
was it like 9 yards or something like that?
Yeah,
less
but
than
he got hit a lot in the backfield. And
yeah, and
so there's not a
Denver
lot
was
you
all
can
over
do.
him. But I mean, he did not. He had a good season still,
Mhm.
but it wasn't as explosive as it was his rookie year. And here he is. His quarterback and him were both rookies, and they had a phenomenal year. Yeah, they lost to Aaron Rodgers. That bad man, but.
That was the craziest game. You can't let him get the ball.
But yeah, you can't get mad at them for that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not their fault. I mean, they played a phenomenal game, both of them. But here they come back, they're sophomores. They've had experience. They've made the transition from college to rookie, or from college to NFL so easily their rookie year. We're expecting big things, and there was certainly a little bit of a drop off for both of them because Zach did not have Zeke, and Zeke did not have the offensive line he used to have. So, Saquon Barkley, he's going to be a stud no matter what. I mean, he's maybe not going to be the number one running back in the league. He's certainly very talented, and scenery helps no matter where you go, and off-field decisions for that matter. But the Giants' offensive line is kind of, it's missing a few components.
Yeah.
And they have a passing game with OBJ.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if the Giants, like, if they choose not to draft a quarterback and they take Saquon, then that could definitely shake things up for the rest of the draft because a lot of GMs are pretty, like, I'm sure the Browns know that if Barkley's up at 4, they're obviously going to take him, or it would really shake up the draft. But like some of the best like players that we aren't talking about a whole lot because they're not at the front of the draft. I mean, you have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who
He's
I
a
think
stud.
if Bradley Chubb gets taken somehow number 2, then I think that's who the Colts might nab because he's.
Minkah Fitzpatrick?
If that's who I think. I don't know if they would take Saquon because Marlon Mack showed a lot of promise.
I don't want Saquon. I would be happy. So there's talks about
Or
CJ
Quentin
Anderson
Nelson.
getting
You could take Quentin Nelson at. I mean, he
number
looks
4
good.
or number 3 for the Colts is a little high, but it depends what happens with free agency. Because that hits first before draft does, and that helps sort things out. So. So far it's looking like the franchise tag is not going to be placed on Andrew Norwell, and the Panthers are going to let him, go out there and chase big money somewhere. And the Colts are third.
They got to go after him.
79 or like 80 million in cap space. So
They got to go after him.
yeah. So I mean, but how bad their offensive line is, and how we saw how important Andrew Luck is to that team. A healthy Andrew Luck, 11-5. That's pretty much guaranteed. So they I mean, we need interior protectors. I mean, Costanzo looked good. Ryan Kelly looks good. Right now, Jack Muir's a free agent. I mean, he was solid. He was probably our best offensive lineman, in my opinion, when healthy. But he started dealing with some injury issues, and now he's a free agent, so we don't even.
So it's just there's a lot that could happen in free agency.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that's why the mock draft might change after free agency. So we'll probably do it on our show. Like once free agency winds down, and we get close to the draft, we'll definitely go more in depth and look at like what more teams could be thinking about.
Yeah,
but right now, do you want to move on to our March Madness teams since it's getting to that time?
It is getting to that time. It's right around the corner. I mean, today is February 21st. So, yep,
yeah.
So
it's getting to that time where conference tournaments are some teams are starting to have senior nights and stuff. So conference tournaments will be starting up soon, and that's when the we're gonna get to see the bracket forming, and then once we get the bracket, that's when it's really comes down to making your picks because, I mean,
It's that time.
you can pick your team all season, but if they get put in a bracket where a couple good teams match up well with them, then they're not as solid of a pick.
Exactly. So
Like,
you're gonna wait till the actual bracket.
you got to
comes
see the
out.
bracket to pick a team. I definitely think. I mean, Villanova obviously because they're the 1 seed. A lot of people are looking at them, but I mean they haven't shown me a lot this season that to say like they could go deep in the tournament. And Virginia's always been the team that like a lot of people are hyped up on during the regular season, but then they never can. I feel like they're always a good defensive team, but they're not good offensively in turn.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So they made a team that like if they play against a team that can score against them, then
it's what are they going to do?
Then they lose a lot early. They haven't made a lot of deep pushes.
It's easy for them. Yeah, it's easy for them to look good, but talk the talk but not walk the walk. Mm-hmm. So,
and I think a team that could really make a couple of teams that could really make a deep run are definitely Duke because they have a ton of talent on that team. Marvin Bagley, Grayson Allen, and Coach K is a great coach, so they obviously have the talent to make a good run. But also, I think Purdue, I think they're a solid at least in the Sweet 16, maybe even the Elite
I would
Eight,
say Sweet 16
because they have so many seniors on the team. They have a good go-to scoring option in Isaac Haas if he gets in the right spot on the post and can do a right hook. Other than that, he's pretty much worthless. But they have size.
I mean, they almost lost to Penn State. Recently.
They definitely started playing a lot worse towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
so that does worry me.
I mean, they lost to Ohio State, Michigan State.
Wisconsin,
and then they almost lost to Penn State by 2 points. It was like a 2-point game, and man, I was so rooting for Penn State that game. I'm an IU fan, so we were close to that 4-game losing streak that we wanted. But we got a 3-game losing streak, and there's kind of a blueprint out, how to beat Purdue at this point. I mean, after watching that streak happen, and you can say it's just by this many points. Let's say they hit one more basket,
but
for all those games, but still, nonetheless, I mean, in the bracket, you lose by 1 point or 100 points, you're still getting knocked out. Doesn't matter. So.
They hadn't been in those games. They really hadn't shot too well. They're a good 3-point shooting team, but you can't be on a team where you live and die by the 3 because if one cold night, especially in college basketball, since it's single elimination, you're gonna die eventually. You're not gonna be red hot the whole tournament most likely. So that to me, I think that could kill them, but they have a lot of seniors on the team, and in the tournament you usually see teams with the most seniors and teams with good leadership, older guys. They end up winning. Like when we saw Kentucky a few years ago, they had probably the most talented team of all time, best recruiting class we'd ever seen. When they had Karl Anthony Towns, Trey Lyles, they had all those just straight animals on their team. They were so good, and they lost to Wisconsin because Wisconsin had their team is like Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky. They're all seniors.
Yeah, I mean, they had that veteran experience.
So, and then even last year with Gonzaga in North Carolina, those teams were like when you saw the starting lineups, it was like sophomore, junior, senior, junior, junior. Like it was a lot of older guys. So you can go far in the tournament with young guys, but I wouldn't say you could win. I mean,
you can go far.
You can go far, but it's a lot. I would take a bunch of seniors over
Kentucky
a bunch of freshmen.
Went 38-1. So yeah, Kentucky went 38-1 that year, like you're talking about, and I feel like we can kind of see the same thing happening to Duke next year, the next 2 years, because with their recruiting class they've had this year with
the 3 best players in the
all going to underneath Coach K's belt, which is better. Coach K's better than Calipari, but I mean it's still the same idea. I mean you have just studs everywhere that are young, but there are still these teams out there like the Wisconsin back then with these older, more veteran, senior, junior guys on the team. So it's going to be.
You got to have guys that have been in those kinds of late game situations a lot.
Fans.
Like the tournament, it comes down to a lot of close games. So if you have a team where they're experienced, they've been in those close games before. Doesn't matter if it's really a tournament game, just where they have a lot of experience in those kinds of situations. You can trust that they're not going to turn the ball over. Like that's the most in late game situations in basketball. That's really what kills teams' chances the most is they will turn the ball over before they can even get a shot.
It's the mental game. It's the experience that they have.
Exactly.
You can be a talented player, but like you said, like the late game, like veteran players, they've got this experience. They've been here before. They know what they're doing, and they know how bad turnovers can kill them. In the final 2 minutes of a game. So it's just a difference in experience is the best teacher, and that's what they have, and the young kids, the young stars don't. So That's a good point you brought up there. So,
Yeah.
who right now, if you had to pick a Final Four right now, who do you think it'd be?
I mean, obviously it depends on the bracket.
It's
because
very
I could
difficult.
pick
Hey,
two teams
I'm
on
not
the
gonna
same
hold
side.
you. Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you to anything here, but
I think.
let's just say 4 teams. Not really
I would say
worried
that my
about.
4 teams I would probably take. I definitely think I think I'm just gonna go with Purdue right now because they're a safe bet.
Really? Okay.
Because if they do get a good drop, then
They're solid.
They're
by
very
no means
solid.
they're by no means a bad team. They're
I
very
think-
talented.
I think Michigan State could really make a deep run. They have a lot of talent. Miles Bridges and Jared Jackson are both just great players, and
Animals.
they can be tough defensively too. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to go with Kansas probably because they have. I mean, Kansas, they've always been good. They do have a mixture of young guys and older guys, so that helps. And then probably Duke maybe. I mean, it's really tough because there's always going to be an upset team. Like March Madness, nobody ever predicts it right.
Well,
so.
whatever year it was when Michigan State lost in the they were 2 seed and they lost a 15th seed first round of the tournament. I mean, God, I remember what was it like? I think 4%, not even. I think maybe it was like less than 1 or something like that. Some crazy amount.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, some crazy amount of brackets were still perfect after the first round. Like it was incredible. So
stuff like that's going to happen. So it's just going to come down to teams that don't turn the ball over a lot. That's why you want older teams too. And then
the final 2 minutes. So it's gonna be a good tournament. I'm excited this year. I'm excited this year like I am every year. I mean, March Madness.
You never know what to expect, but I think this year it's a lot more wide open. We don't have the one dominant team where you're like, yes, they're by far the best team in college basketball. I think they'll definitely make a deep run. I think all of the top teams are capable of being knocked out in the Sweet 16. They're not. I don't think any of them are so much better than. I don't think any of them are that big of a step ahead of all the other teams. So
I'd agree with that. So, well, that'll wrap it up today.
Yeah, you're probably having unless you're a Louisville fan, you're probably having a pretty good day. So that's a sticky situation for them.
That's a real question for us. Leave it in the comments. Who's the real 2013 champions? Was it Michigan?
No. They still lost the game.
Okay, this is coming from an Ohio State fan. Was it Michigan?
It's just nobody won.
Nobody won. Was it just
the funniest part about that is Rick Pitino has a tattoo of commemorating that championship.
I forgot about that. I saw that on Twitter.
And it's like he has the Louisville L tattooed on him, so he took an L. So that sucks.
Yeah, he's wearing an L, literally.
Yeah, a vacated win.
That came back to bite him. Oh man. Well, that'll be it for the day. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.